Do you like fire? Do you like smiting heretics? Then have I got a build for you. Though I am Diabolical Chronology, I am an Irish succubus who enjoys Dactide and other 40k things. And I like making fluffy builds. Fluffy builds that are now actually, like, solidly viable. So I present to you the Soulblaze Paladin. It is a melee-focused psycho build with an emphasis on, well, setting shit on fire. So, without further ado, I want to get into it. Our alternate choice is the Blazeforce Greatsword, although the other 4 swords work as well. This is your primary armament. You want warp resistance to be your dump stat because it only affects your special attacks, and everything else you want maxed. I'm running crit chance and crit damage for my packs because I want to be critting as much as possible, and I want my crits to hit harder because that is our higher damaging stat for most attacks on the Blazeforce Greatsword. When there is a difference, we're always just light attacks against, like, cannabis, but, you know, I like having extra crit shots, extra crit damage. It's good against all targets. With the changes to crushers and moles and other armored enemies, and the introduction of plasma gunners, it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe swap out the crit damage for cannabis. For the blessings, I am running Shred and Blazing Spirit. Shred because the Blazeforce Greatsword has shit dodges, and because Shred you just aggravate by hitting shite, which you will be doing constantly. Blazing Spirit is the other one, which is that when you get a crit, it applies 4 stacks of Soulblaze to the target. That will not do a significant amount of damage, but it will do some chip damage. It counts as warp damage, and it procs our Soulblaze Riders, which is something I'll get into when I get to the trait. For my curios, I run in Toughness, Stamina, and Toughness. You could do triple Toughness if you want. You could do more Stamina. It's up to you. With the talent tree reworks, I think that more Toughness is just better. I probably don't even need a 3rd Stamina, but I like being able to push it, being able to strike more, etc. For your range weapon, right now I've got the Force Staff, or the Inferno Force Staff on. Because it applies Soulblaze, it can apply Penetrating Flame. But really, whatever you want in this slot is up to you. You can use a bolt pistol, you can use a revolver, you can use a Void Strike Staff, Electrokinetic. It doesn't matter, this is just here as our secondary weapon. For the talents, Metal, because I am going for crits, and that gives me more movement to get around the battlefield faster. Our new Warp Expenditure, because again, this is a melee-focused build. We are going to be swinging our sword constantly, which means we are constantly getting at least 2.5% toughness back, and usually 5% toughness per second as well, because we're going to waste what kills. Battle Meditation to get down to here, just to have more chances to quell peril and to reduce the buildup of Scry's Gaze so we can sustain it for longer. Hell's Combustion, because you can poke this pretty reliably now. Come down here and grab Brain Ruptured, specifically with Kinetic Fire. With the changes to this to where it now has a 100% chance to proc, it is basically just every 12 seconds, you will get a singular Brain Rupture on a Specialist, Elite, or Monstrosity, excluding Pots Bursters. It is just a nice spike of damage that will almost certainly kill an Elite or a Specialist, and then pop Perilous Combustion. Coming down here, we grab Soul Drinker because it is Soulblaze build. So of course we want Soul Drinker to give us 3% toughness per second and 5% crit chance, essentially constantly. we come over here and grab lightning speed because it's a melee build. Of course we want 10% attack speed. By crack of board, it's a melee build, a melee Scryer's Gaze build. It's a great sword or an Elise or a Deimos that is good at getting respot kills. Of course we want to quell peril, keep Scryer's Gaze going longer, and reduce further power of generation to keep Scryer's Gaze going longer. Wildfire. This is not good as a damage source. It is good for just keeping Soulblaze active. And that's about it. It is here to serve as a rider. It is just here to keep Soulblaze active, really, and to spread it around. What matters isn't that, oh, it does significant amount of damage, because it doesn't. What is relevant is that it guarantees that Soulblaze will be active on pretty much every enemy that we're in combat with. Which means that Soul Drinker will proc on every enemy that we're in combat with. It means that any elite that is vaguely near us will be burdened for at least a little bit of Soulblaze out, which means they are eligible targets for Kinetic Flare, whether we're directly engaged with them or not. Which then procs Perilous Combustion and applies Soulblaze. But then if that target dies, gets spread around. With proc Soul Drinker, which can then proc Kinetic Flare, which can proc Perilous Combustion. It's a positive feedback loop between this, that, and that. Coming down here, we have Prescience, 5% crit chance. It's a melee crit focus build because of Blazing Spirit. That can add its aura to get Scryer's Gaze back that much faster, which is also constantly proccing because of these four. Path of Evasion, because we're going for crits. Our crits mean that we are now immune to range attacks roll in second. Anticipation, our dodges are better because the greatsword is very bad at dodging. If you were to running the greatsword and were doing like the Deimos or the Elise, then you wouldn't need this. You could swap this out for that's a Worth or just a Dream. Either or would be fine. I like the extra dodges. The increased dodge duration, it helps offset the Great Swords just not being good at it. Scryer's Gaze, we grab Precognition and Warp's Fate. This lets you move around faster. This lets you just get more damage. It's finesse damage, which affects your crits and respot hits. The Great Sword is good at both, so we'll take both. Coming down here, Warp Rider. It's damage. Warp Ghost, this is fucking made for melee Psyker. Because passive quelling doesn't matter. You want your peril to decay slowly on its own. You want active quelling, which is, you know, by crack of bone. Battle meditation, sometimes. When it procs. The like. There. That sets you up as a melee powerhouse, like. Look at the fucking stamina on this lad. Well, less. Then we come over here, grab Kinetic Deflection. You've got enough stamina that you don't need to take this. If you were running the bolt pistol with the revolver, you can instead swap it for True Aim. Because True Aim can be built with anything. Anything that hits a weak spot, builds it. So your melee, your Brain Burst, and Kinetic Flare. You can do the bolt pistol and treat this as a pseudo weapon specialist veteran to where you're just killing Triton melee, but you'll have a guaranteed crit when you pull out your bolt pistol or revolver, and that then lets you hit breakpoints that you wouldn't otherwise, like one-shot body shots on gunners or one-shot headshots on ragers, that sort of shit. It's up to you. I am running Kinetic Deflection just because in the current setup, I don't have anything that benefits from it, especially. But, you know, it's interchangeable there, depending on what you want to run. Can come down here, grab the move speed to go faster, disrupt destiny, perfectionism, and cruel fortune. Disrupt destiny had its range increased to 40 meters, so you will have a lot more targets to choose from and make use of. And as long as you get a respawn kill once every 5 seconds, you get. You could do lingering influence if you are concerned about them falling off. I personally prefer perfectionism and cruel fortune because it scales higher, and it's got a wee spot hit, which is very easy to do with the greatsword because the light attacks are nice sweep and slay ashes, and your heavies are overhead and a thrust for this mark. It's easy to get wee spot hits, like. You will be decapitating fuckers left and right. Which, you know, is exactly what you want. It makes it very easy to get and maintain your disrupt destiny. And another way to think about it is, if you are treating individual stacks of disrupt destiny, this paired with this means that each one stack is essentially 3. So that's 15 seconds per stack. Relative to this. This doubles the duration, but limits how many stacks you can have. So I prefer this combo. As for how it plays out, if you're running the Infernus staff, hard spawns, you blast with it, draw your sword, Scry's gaze, start chopping heads. You will get crits in melee, which will make you immune to ranged. It will then proc Blazing Spirit. Blazing Spirit then proc Soul Drinker and everything else. And you just set shit on fire while cleaving through hordes like nobody's business. Max at your Scry's gaze. You quell just a little bit, and you have your Warp Slice. That's the build. If you don't want to run the Infernus staff, then you swap Kinetic Deflection for true aim. You grab yourself a range weapon that benefits from a guaranteed crit, so the bolt pistol, the revolver, the Boytrek staff, because it lets you guarantee a double black hole with Surge, which is very funny. The last pistol, though it is more of a repeated fire weapon. Really, anything you want is fine here. It's not your primary weapon. But, hey, it's fun. With the recent buffs and reorganization of the tree and the buffs to Scry's Gaze and Disrupt Destiny, this works fine up through Auric. I wouldn't recommend taking it into Havoc just because Havoc requires a lot more team synergy and team play. So you'll be better off running like Bubble with an Infernus staff or a Trauma staff or a, well, Void Blast or Void Strike staff. But for Auric, for March's Trials, it's good. It's fun. I recommend it. Also, you can make a, positive, self-sustaining feedback loop as long as there are specials or elites in a crowd with the setup, which is kind of funny. Anyways, that's all for this build. I hope you enjoy, and I hope to see you all in the battle for Tatium. Until next time.